That shock of cold water you avoid every morning, it might be one of the fastest ways to wake up your brain. Just a few minutes of controlled cold exposure can spike norepinephrine, the chemical linked to focus, alertness, and mood. No gimmicks, no extreme challenges. In this video, I'll show you a simple, science-backed way to use cold safely so you feel sharper, more energized, and actually ready to take on your day. Start with brief cold exposure sessions of 30 to 60 seconds to safely trigger a norepinephrine response. When you first try cold exposure, the goal is not to prove toughness, but to introduce your body to a controlled stress that it can adapt to. Norepinephrine, a key brain chemical linked to focus, alertness, and mood, spikes quickly when your body senses cold, but you do not need long exposure to get that benefit. In fact, starting small is what makes this sustainable. A simple way to do this is at the end of a normal shower, turn the water cold for just 30 seconds. You will feel your breathing change, your skin tighten, and your mind become instantly alert. That is the response you're after. Over time, you can extend this to 60 seconds or a bit longer, but there is no need to rush. Consistency matters more than duration. Think of it like training a muscle. Short, repeated exposure builds resilience. If you jump straight into long, intense cold sessions, you are more likely to quit or create unnecessary stress. So keep it manageable, keep it repeatable, and let your brain and body adapt gradually while still getting that powerful norepinephrine boost. Focus on controlled breathing during cold exposure to enhance mental clarity and reduce stress. The moment cold water hits your skin, your natural reaction is to gasp or tense up. But this is exactly where the real training begins. If you can slow your breathing and stay in control, you are teaching your nervous system how to stay calm under stress. This is where cold exposure goes beyond just a physical habit and becomes a mental skill. Try inhaling through your nose for about 4 seconds and exhaling slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds while under the cold water. This pattern helps signal to your brain that you are safe, even in discomfort. Over time, this reduces your stress reactivity and sharpens your ability to focus in other areas of life, like work or studying. People often notice that after a cold shower with controlled breathing, their mind feels clearer and more organized. That is partly due to norepinephrine, but also because you practice staying composed under pressure. So instead of fighting the cold, use it as a training ground. Stay still, breathe slowly, and let your mind learn that discomfort does not equal danger. Use cold exposure in the morning to maximize its effects on alertness and productivity. Timing matters more than most people realize, and doing cold exposure early in the day can amplify its benefits for focus and energy. When you wake up, your brain is naturally transitioning from a sleepy state to a more alert one, and a brief cold exposure can accelerate that shift. The surge in norepinephrine acts almost like flipping a switch for your attention system, making you feel awake without relying on caffeine alone. For example, taking a quick cold shower after brushing your teeth can become a simple anchor habit that signals the start of your day. Many people report that they feel sharper, more motivated, and less sluggish afterward. It can also help regulate your circadian rhythm by reinforcing a clear start to your active hours. If mornings are busy, even a 30-second cold rinse on your face and neck can have a noticeable effect. The key is to make it consistent. By pairing cold exposure with the beginning of your day, you turn it into a reliable tool for boosting productivity rather than a random challenge you occasionally attempt. Gradually increase duration or intensity over time to build resilience without overwhelming your system. Once your body adapts to short bursts of cold, it can be tempting to jump straight into ice baths or very long exposures, but progression should be steady and intentional. Think of this as building tolerance rather than chasing extremes. After a week or two of consistent 30 to 60-second sessions, you might extend to 90 seconds or 2 minutes, or slightly lower the water temperature. The goal is to stay in a zone where the cold feels challenging but manageable. If you are shaking uncontrollably or dreading the experience every day, that is a sign you have pushed too far. Sustainable habits are the ones that stick, and with cold exposure, the benefits come from regular practice rather than intensity spikes. Over time, you may notice that what once felt unbearable now feels routine. That is your nervous system, adapting, becoming more resilient, and handling stress more efficiently. This gradual approach also reduces the risk of negative reactions and makes it easier to maintain the habit long term, which is where the real brain and productivity benefits show up. Stay consistent with daily or near-daily exposure to maintain elevated norepinephrine and cognitive benefits. One of the most important aspects of cold exposure is not how extreme it is, but how regularly you do it. The norepinephrine boost you get is powerful but temporary, so repeating the stimulus helps reinforce those benefits over time. Think of it like brushing your teeth or exercising. The payoff comes from consistency, not occasional effort. Even a quick daily cold rinse can help maintain improved focus, mood, and stress tolerance. On days when you feel tired or unmotivated, that is often when it helps the most. You do not need perfect conditions or a full ice bath setup. A normal shower with a cold finish is enough. Try attaching it to an existing habit so you do not have to rely on willpower alone. For example, always end your morning shower with cold water or use it as a reset after a workout. Over time, it becomes automatic, and you will likely notice that your baseline level of alertness and mental clarity improves. Consistency turns cold exposure from a one-time challenge into a reliable tool for brain performance.